Hey there, welcome to Pop Culture Cupid.
I'm Alison, love coach, here to help you single people find your way back to love.
And I'm Michal, I'm a single life coach. I help singles embrace themselves and their singleness, as well as develop a healthy self relationship.
In this podcast, we will look at how pop culture impacts romance, dating, and your love life.
And each week we'll shoot another arrow through another pop culture delusion.
I thought we weren't going to do the whole cheesy thing.
And then burst into smithereens.
Oh my god, dude, that's so cringe!
Sorry, it's in the intro now.
If you make it through the chaos and you enjoy what you hear, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and go to all the social media.
At Pop Culture Cupid on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy! Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's okay as can be. It's okay as can be. That's a normal answer here right now. There's a running joke about it.
Yeah.
Like, just in case you forget to add after the I'm okay, like in relation to the situation, like everyone's like laughing about it. They're like, it's just right now people ask you how you're doing, and it's like the ridiculous question in the world. But yeah, it feels such a strange thing to ask. But yeah, sorry, I digress.
Well, it's interesting because, you often get the how you do, how's it going? How are you doing? And people always expect the answer, I'm fine, how are you? Never really.
Oh yeah.
And it's just something I worked on.
Yeah, because most people don't actually care that much. They're just asking to get it out of the way or to be polite. And like I had friends that we used to call these kind of conversation like a pathway conversation, where you're just passing someone by through the path or whatever, or through the street, and then go, "Hey, how are you? Good. How are you? And everything okay? Yes, goodbye." That's it.
Yeah, exactly. No. And actually, I find that if you did tell someone, I'm not doing okay, or something's going on, or any particular reason,
yeah,
you'd very rarely get a negative reaction. You'd very rarely, unless you're somebody who complains all the time. Like if you're usually somebody who's kind of, yeah, fine, and actually there's something going on, then that usually gets a response. And I was working on that with a client a while back, where I was telling him, you need to learn how to just say when things are not okay, if just to get used to talking about yourself. And it was an interesting conversation of it's difficult to come out of that social thing of just, yeah, fine, how are you? Yeah, fine. Even yourself, you're not really expecting anyone to say I'm not doing okay.
Yeah, you don't, and in a way you don't want to, because it's like you don't really want to cope with other people's emotions right now, or it's too heavy for you, or you don't know how to cope with it, especially since you don't expect it. So when someone's actually honest about it, then you're taken aback. And I think that most people just prefer to just spare others the burden, or to not get into it. Like, I know I'm not a person who's just going to come and spill my guts out to every person who's going to ask me how I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm very selective with that. So I think that's okay. You don't have to go ahead and tell everyone. I feel like you also shouldn't. There's something also really unhealthy about going around and being miserable and telling everyone how crappy you're doing.
Yeah,
there's also balance. Yeah, you have to find the right balance and share with the right people, and also keep on finding the positive sides and the good things, and just showing, because there's always something good to focus on. And again, if you keep on just every person you meet, how you doing? Oh, I'm crappy, I'm sorry, this, and then you start crying, then people are not going to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
If every single time you're being like that. So you have to, again, find the right balance and the right people to talk to about too.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
how are you doing?
what's
up with you?
Pretty, I just normal. Yeah, normal stuff. It's just, it's so cold here right now.
Mhm.
Um, it's I had like I often get really bad back pain, and like 2023 has just been. I've been to the osteopath probably 7 or 8 times,
Wow.
like a stupid amount. It's just been, oh my God. And so I went there yesterday, and we were just talking about it with him, um, about just the world that we live in, of just, it's a very strange world of where we're so educated on so much stuff, and yet we still, despite the education, we just do the randomest shit. And I was telling him about when I so this past 12 months where they've just been, complicated for me in various aspects, and how, people are educated on social norms and how to behave and how not to behave and how to talk to women and how not to talk to women and things like that, and people still just being really strange and weird. Like, for instance, I was telling him about an osteopath that I had that was great. I was like, oh yeah, I'm really enjoying this session. Like, I can feel it working. And whilst I'm in my underwear, he goes, so are you single? Your face is priceless.
What?
I was like, well, I wasn't. And even if I had been, I probably would have said, no, I'm not single. Because, dude, I'm in my underwear. Like, it's such a,
So weird.
it feels very strange. And so yesterday's guy was like, oh my God, that's so strange. And I was just, and so it got us talking because, I encourage people to, get out of their comfort zone and talk to the woman,
Mhm.
or talk to the guy or whatever. And I was like, but yet you still need to just, like, I was in my underwear. Like, this was a practitioner that I had gone to because of my back pain. I was in my underwear, like, very vulnerable, very kind of just weird. And he was just, so are you single? And I was like, no.
Such a straight, like, even if he's not coming on to you in that moment, like, I mean, that's such a strange question to ask at that point, unless it's somehow has something to do with the examination or your medical history or whatever it
Yeah,
is. It's like,
exactly.
just,
Or like the conversation or something. Um,
yeah, just goes to show how socially awkward we are these days because we're all spending too much time on our phones.
I would like to challenge that. I think it's always been like, we've always had people who were socially awkward for various reasons,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
and sometimes, you know people evolve and people don't evolve, and it was just a very, very strange. And and after that, one of my clients was like, oh, should I ask my doctor out? I find her very attractive and very kind. I was like, no, like, you, like, this is physician patient or client or whatever relationship. If you want to try that, and I think people should try, if you find this practitioner or something that you find attractive often.
Yeah.
I once when I had I used to give the first session for free because that was the format that I was doing when I started off. And at the end of a session, it happened twice. That at the end of the session, we log off, and then the guys just messaged me and, and tried to flirt with me. And I was
Priceless.
I wasn't open to it because wasn't open to it. But I was like, well, that's the way you want to do it. That's just, if you're single and you want to try something out, then you want to take it out of the context of I'm your patient or I'm your client or vice versa. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I
it,
feel like, mhm.
it's tricky. And I think especially for guys, where, because I think being, and you'll probably comment on this better than I would, but being a woman, you have certain, you know, expectations when you're single. But I think that when you're a guy, when you're single, the expectations are just like, you need to be outgoing and you need to get all of the women, or you need to be the one that goes up to the woman. And I think men have it hard. Like I've been helping a lot of men for the last 18 months now. And I was just, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough for them. They're in this complicated world of feminism and Me Too movement, yet chivalry is dead, yet chivalry is not dead. And they have it hard.
Oh, you just, yeah. We live in such a complicated world. People like to overcomplicate things these days. It's just, it is. I believe that well, in some ways it's harder for women, and in some ways it's harder for men. It's like very different, and it's like on different planes. But for men, there's just that much more expectation. People wanting them to be more manly and to pay for on the first date, which I get, or pay the second date, third date, to be a gentleman, to behave in certain ways, to not get emotional, to not do this, and to be the one who takes initiative, and to be the one who does the chasing, and to be the one who is always courting after the woman, and the woman has to like sit back and be the princess. There's a lot of expectations from men, while at the same time also demanding equality and all the feminist movements that want, I don't know what they want. I feel like they wanna eat from the cake and keep it whole.
Is that
We
is
have that saying.
Yeah,
It's
is
a
that
saying in Hebrew. I don't know if it exists in English, but that's what we say. They want to eat from the cake and keep it whole.
so in English, the expression is "have your cake and eat it." Uh,
Have your cake and eat it, right?
and in French, we have this expression that I'm going to say in French, and then I'll translate it. It's a two-parter. It says "il veut le beurre et l'argent du beurre," and the second part is "il cul de la crémière." So the first part is like this soft, like he wants the butter and the money from the butter, which means, you know, he wants to have the butter and still earn money from the butter without selling it. And then for the people who really exaggerate it, he wants the butter, the money from the butter, and the arse of the cream woman.
I love it. Yeah, and you know, I think it's such a scary time to be a straight male, especially if they're white. Oh my God, God forbid you be white these days.
Oh, I know.
But with men, there's just so much, like, you touch a woman the wrong way, you say the wrong thing, and straight away it's like, me too, me too. And it well, we're digressing here. I mean, obviously not in all cases, but it just seems to me that it's a rising phenomena of women just accusing men of every tiny little thing, and everything's offensive. And yet, within all that, the man is the one who has to make the first move. He has to be a gentleman, but he also he has to be a manly man, but he also has to let women be in charge.
Yeah.
So you can't win.
No, I agree. And just so there's this YouTuber called Hayley Khalil. Um, she's amazing. I highly recommend her. She's beautiful, beautiful, and she's hilarious. And you know how I would jokingly say, "Oh, she's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's funny, she's nice. I hate her," as a joke, but she
Mm-hmm.
is so funny. Like it eclipses her beauty, and you can't help but love her because it's just. Anyway, she's great, and she does all of these videos about the fashion industry, and because she's a model, because she's stunning, and the
Mm-hmm.
fashion industry. And then she talks about her own like personal experiences with like love and dating and things like that. And she says something along the lines of, and no, I think we'll both agree, online, you know, we talk about progress, we talk about change, we talk about accepting, we talk about power and things like that, but in the dating world nothing ever changes. Like, we talk about change all of the time. She talks about it a lot in the modeling industry, but I'm going to also say it for the dating world. Like, we talk a lot about change and like we want change, blah blah blah, but nobody is ready to actually like bring the change forward, and so it doesn't change. So online you're saying things like, you know, women have the power and women should pay for drinks, and some women do before get cancelled before we even start. Some women do, but most women, especially the women that I talk to in my line of work, they expect the man to pay, and they will agree with the fact that women can pay, and they will agree with everything that is said online, just not for them. And it's like,
Yeah, it's when push comes to shove that people just don't want to make that. They want to believe it. They want to be that person who believes and does those kind of things, but they're not actually gonna put in the effort because it's too much.
yeah,
We're just such a lazy world right now. People are just so lazy, and they're keyboard warriors. Like these days, it's just like,
I uh, I as I said in a previous episode, I do the coaching thing part time, and I have another job that for now pays the bills, and because it is hard going at it like on your own. It's, you know, get out
it is.
it's hard. And so one of the guys that works for the company, that currently works for the company that I work for, like, there was this rumor that he, in his old company, created fake Twitter accounts to troll his company so that then he could use the company Twitter to counteract what he was saying. I was, oh my god, like, just
My
these
God.
interactions. And it's bringing me on to something else, where there's this podcast that I love called I actually, where did I hear this? Anyway, I can't remember where I heard it, but this celebrity was saying that he was off Twitter and he created Twitter but couldn't get the verified account because somebody else had the verified account and it wasn't even him. And so he was observing this other guy interacting with somebody else, another verified account that was a famous comedian. And he was like, oh my God, what is this fake me saying to this other famous comedian, and they're having beef online, blah, blah, blah. So then they go, and so then he ends up meeting this comedian online. Well, this comedian, he ends up meeting him and he said, oh, I'm sorry about Twitter, it wasn't me, and like, it's just this fake account, I'm trying to get it sorted out. And the guy was like, it's not me, like, I'm not on Twitter. It's like, so these fake accounts pretending to be somebody else online in lieu of other people. Anyway, it's we've completely digressed, but it's sort of very, this online.
It's a dangerous place out there, and it's just, there's also a lot of bots. There's also a lot of trolls. I see it all the time. I see it now with everything that's going on, and I see it also on my content of trying to spread positivity for singles. It's like people are straight away just hating and trying to bring you down and twisting your words and trying to make you out like a bad guy, and I just don't get it. It's like, why are you that bored? Are you that spiteful? Are you that jealous? Are you that, what is it? Are you that miserable that you feel the need to go out and just spread hate?
Absolutely.
And it's not even, you know what, I understand that people have different, and I'm probably going to be digressing here, but I understand that people have different opinions, and that's okay, no matter what it is. But there's a way to express it. If someone were to come to me and want to start a conversation about being single and how they don't agree with what I'm doing, then that's fine. I love it when people challenge me. Come and show me. I'm always willing to be open-minded and even learn and see and hear. But when you come and you're just writing like, you're such a clown, why are you encouraging people to be single? It's the worst thing they can do. And you're straight away just being hateful.
Yeah.
And straight away just being so mean and trolling, then what's the point of that? Then that means that you're not trying to create change. You're not trying to make a world a better place. You're not trying to help people. You're not trying to stand against someone who's spreading evil, like as if it like trying to get me to stop spreading the bad stuff. They just bored and they just miserable and they just want to spread the hate.
And with that in mind, I post obviously the opposite content of just like not encouraging people to be in a relationship, but helping them find ways to be in a relationship. And I get all of these single warriors going like, oh, but you shouldn't force people to be in a relationship. Like being single is the best thing. It's like oh my God, then just don't my content.
You can't win. You can't win.
I'm struggling with my light that has just
fun.
I'm just so I'm not gonna sort it out now.
That's
but
fine.
It just fell. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Anyway.
Oh my God.
Technology. And I think that's linked to. Do we agree that people who spread hate are people who are insecure and maybe jealous and just unhappy with their situation?
Yes, and bored.
Too
much time on their hands.
Absolutely. And you know, forget about, you know, they don't realize that we're real people, whatever. Forget about that. That links into the stigma of, you know, if they are unhappy being single or unhappy being in a relationship, but they can't get out of that situation, then they will hate on the people who are happy in that situation. And it's just, I was talking to a friend yesterday of, I met her while traveling in Thailand, and so she is now living in Thailand. She's German and has moved to Thailand, and so we were talking about all of this, and I wasn't feeling too good about myself a while back for various reasons. And she was like, you need to tune in to what it is that you want. And, you know, she said, I chose the travel life and I've now moved to Thailand. She's living with a guy that she met while traveling. And, you know, it's this whole thing. And she's got this whole romantic story that's great. And you're like, it's just tuning into what you really want. And it turns out that I'm a traditional type of person that I want to be in a relationship and live with someone and have a family and buy a house. That's what I want. And it turns out it's the traditional thing. But I struggled so much with admitting that to myself because of all of the stigmas of like, I don't know about if it's the stigmas, but oh, you're so young, so you're 29, 30, you've still got time, and you know, you've got all of that thing on one side of like, you should travel, you should do this, you should do that, you should have fun during your singlehood, and blah 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 blah. And on the other side, you've got the whole you should be married and you should already have 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just here in the middle of like, well, I've been living my life. And so I was just talking to her about it yesterday, that, you know, just reflecting on that it takes a while to just think about what it is that you want. And I would agree that going via the being single phase and just thinking about it is what makes you realize, actually, my lifelong ambition, like, I don't know if it's a lifelong ambition, I wouldn't say that, but I romanticize the fact that I want to be married and have a family. It's not be all or end all. I'm happy being single, but I'd quite like to have that. And it's going through all of this work that has made me realize, but Jesus, you've got so many, you know, you have to do this or you have to do that, and you know, look at me, what I've done. Well, fine, yeah, look at me, what I've done.
Yeah, you just summed it up very well. The of what it is basically one side telling you one thing and trying to convince you, the other side telling you the opposite and trying to convince you, and no one is telling you to do what you want and to tune into what is best for you. That's what happens in society these days. Everyone's pulling you like a kind of like a rope, and we don't all have that one friend who is going to tell us,
no,
like, to focus on what you want to do and what's best for you. And which is one of the reasons why I'm passionate about this and why I do what I do. And it's at the end of the day, your single period is you make of it. And I believe that if your singlehood is miserable, it's because you're making it miserable. And it's because you're not doing anything about it. And it is the perfect time to discover what you want and find yourself and do some trial and error. Figure out what it is you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, what you want to do with yourself. And the rest will sort of follow. And there was something else I was going to say and I completely forgot.
It's just tuning into what it is that you want. And if you're doing that whilst you're sharing your life with someone, then it's not as authentic as if you did it while you were on your own.
Yeah, we spoke more about that last week.
Yeah.
But I also feel like a lot of times we have this FOMO of, which is, I think one of the biggest pandemics or epidemics, I don't know what to call it these days, where people just do things because they are scared of missing out, of not being part of something. And they force themselves to be in situations or do things that they don't want to do or aren't for them just because everyone around them is doing it, or people around them are convincing them to do it, or because they're scared to be left out.
Yeah.
That's
No, go.
I was going to say that's one of the main reasons why so many people do things these days, why so many people jump into relationships and are so scared of being by themselves.
Yeah, I would agree. And I was, like, you said something about expectations and stigma and like people, you shouldn't be in this situation. And there's this guy on, I don't know which platform, like called The Single Dad or something like that. And so
Yeah.
do you see the guy, like a handsome guy? I think he's American.
Yeah, I was following him when I was on TikTok, but now we don't have TikTok anymore, so wretched platform. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's a story for another day. How the Chinese are controlling the young minds of today.
Oh yeah, and whatever.
Sorry.
And he was saying things along like, okay, yeah, I have a kid because I made poor decision making when I was younger, and like wasn't, owning my needs and owning, and actions have consequences and things like that. So now I'm 30 and I've got a kid and I love her and it's great, but I choose to stay single. I do not want to get back into a relationship. And he was saying, and the stigma around choosing to be a single dad because children need to have both parents and because blah blah blah. It's like, well, children need to be surrounded by people that love them, and that's the only thing that they truly need, and people who look after them. And so if that's one parent, then that's great. If that's a myriad of people, then that's great as well.
Yeah, and when you force someone into something they're not ready for or that they don't want, there's no doubt in my mind that it will end up exploding in their faces and be a miserable failure. When you are forcing someone to do something they don't want or is not right for them, then they're just going to end up miserable and they're going to end up crashing and burning probably. And so it's important, and I wish people would just shut the F up already, but it's our responsibility to just tune them out. Unfortunately, that people love to talk and people always going to have what to say and feel the need to say it. And so I believe that we should just tune them out, block out all the haters, doubters, and narrow-minded people, and just start listening to ourselves and what we want, and not caring so much about the stigmas and misconceptions and what people are going to say about us, what people are going to think. I mean, how many wonderful opportunities or things have you given up on because you were scared of what people will think or say, like going out alone or traveling alone, or starting a career that's just in something that's just not acceptable in your community, or I don't know, picking up a new hobby or a new skill that just people around you are looking at you weird, but why are you doing that? And it's just, we miss out on so many amazing things because we're scared of missing out on what isn't right for us, which is absurd to me.
Even
And
sorry, even the missing out is, I agree with that, but it's just my brother was in a long-term, when he was much younger, he was in a long-term relationship with someone, and then he broke up with this someone, and then met somebody else very quickly, and then they like traveled to Australia for 2 years and then came back, and he was back in that community that he was dating his first girlfriend, and he was like, people keep talking about me, and like because I should have stayed single for longer, but I fell in love with her, and blah, blah. People keep talking about how I broke up with her 2 years ago, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he was, yeah, it's uncomfortable. I feel that people looking at him. I was like, you actually give a shit about what these people are talking about? Like, you guys broke up over 2 years ago, and these guys are still talking about it. I'm sorry, but you and your ex, you are nobodies. Like, you're not Prince Harry and Meghan, and even that, it's just leave them alone. Like, you're not these like world famous celebrities. Like, you're just two nobodies. I love you, but if these people talk about you, just imagine how boring their lives are.
So boring.
Over 2 years, like, if it has just happened, human behavior, but over 2 years later, like, get over it. Just get over it. Like, anyway, and he was like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. I was like, of course I'm right. I say he's not even missing opportunities, and he's still letting the chatter get to him. And I'm like, you need to just stop. Like,
Yeah.
these people's opinions don't matter. These opinions don't matter.
Oh no, they really don't. It's funny because I just shared not long ago my personal account. I shared a post. It was in Hebrew, and it was regarding the situation, but it's very fitting where someone said, what was it? I can't remember the exact way he put it, but he's like, I can't believe I care about so much about some dumb person's opinion across the world, and I feel dumb for caring about this dumb person's opinion. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it was a bit funnier. But it was just like, that's what it is. We care too much about dumb people's opinions who most of the time have no impact on our lives whatsoever. And these people are not really trying to help us do better, be better. They don't really, it's not, they don't have our best interests in mind. They just bored and they want the gossip. And yeah, and sadly, singles are the ones who are most subjected to this, because a lot of people settle down, they succumb to the pressure of getting married and having kids, and so they become bored with their life. And obviously not everyone, I'm doing a generalization here. And so then they try to live vicariously through you, or they try to dig into your life, or they try to convince you to also get married and have kids, because misery loves company. And we try to justify our own actions by getting other people. And so singles are just left like prey in the open field to be picked on and taken apart of why you're still single, what you're doing with your singlehood, when you're going to find someone, when you're going to settle down. Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? And why aren't you with them? And why aren't you with her? Why did you break up? And why did you break up? It's like taking apart their lives and analyzing it and having the audacity to think that you have a say in it.
I agree, the audacity. I have a client. I've been working. So I met this client through one of my own online posts. And this was a year ago, and he was saying, so I separated over a year ago, and we're getting a divorce, and now I'm dating left and right, and I'm not sure, I'm not dating the right women. Like, can you help me with that? Can you help me? I don't have trouble talking to women, but I have trouble kind of just understanding certain female behavior sometimes. I'm like, yeah, fine. And so I was helping him, and so a year on, he has changed his mind on whether or not he wants to be on a relationship so many times. And I was like, what is it that you want? Like, have a think. We don't need to do it now. We can, but I don't know that it'll be useful. Have a think about what it is that you want. Where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? Like, this guy is in his 50s and has kids and things like, and he's got a great career. His life looks different now from when he was 30 and when he was 20. Is where he sees himself. And it's like, well, I want to be spending some time with some women, but I don't necessarily want to go back into the whole getting married thing. And I don't have an age. Like, I can date 30-year-olds, I can date 50-year-olds. Like, and he was just talking about it. I said, so why are you? What's this about getting into a relationship? I was like, well, I don't know. You see other people who are in relationships, and you see this, and you said, I was like, okay, then great, then it's fine for them if they are happy in a relationship. But if you look at your life thinking, right, I've done that, now I just want to do this, then that has to be okay as well. So we're working on, well, I don't know that we're working on it, but he's just making it okay to not want to be in a relationship. And it's strange. Like, this 50-year-old good-looking successful man has a lot of women around him. Like, he has no trouble getting a date, but he's got this little voice of society in his head saying, oh, you should be in a relationship, you should get in the dating pool and meet someone. Like, people snatch you up. Yeah, people will snatch him up. Does not mean that he wants to.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I believe part of the problem is why we have such a hard time making up our own minds is because we're constantly worried about other people's opinions. And so we don't want to make up our own mind. We don't want to make the decision on other people to make it for us, or we just want to follow other people's decisions in their own lives. So we sort of, and we do it in a lot of things in life, not only in relationships or being single. I feel like we do it in many small things in life, so it slowly becomes a habit, and then we do it also with the bigger things, especially when it comes to relationships. We don't want to make that decision. We're so scared of taking that plunge, and at the same time we're worried about what we're missing, and wait, but there's more fish in the ocean, and we don't want to settle down, and we don't want to do this or that. So we can't make up our own minds.
Yeah.
We just let everyone else, we just follow the herd, or we let everyone else decide for us, or we listen to everyone telling us what we should do. And so there's so many opinions, and we just get confused, and we don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
For all of the above.
I think a good kind of rounded up comment, a double rounded up comment, suggestion, advice is, take the time to actually think about what it is that you want, like where you see yourself in the next 12 months. Like, you can see yourself in 10 years, like married with kids, and have that be honest. But maybe in the next 12 months you want to do stuff on your own, and that's okay as well. And that's okay whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50. Like, you can want to see yourself long term with someone, but short term you can want to be on your own. So make sure you know what it like. Be honest with yourself about what it is that you want. And once that you're honest with yourself, be honest with other people. I'm not saying that people usually lie. It's just, you get this thing of like, people don't really own the fact that they want to just date around, or they don't own the fact that they want a relationship. Like, you get this weird cliched sentence of, I'm open to meeting someone, and if it works out, then great, and if it doesn't, then great, I'm not fussed. It depends on how we match and chemistry. And it's this very vague kind of just concept that everybody says that doesn't mean anything. Whereas if you said, right now I'm looking to stay single, I've got stuff to do, it's just I'm happy to date around, but I want to stay single for right now, and just be honest with other people, then you'll attract the right people as well.
Yeah, and we need to also learn how to decide what we want to do, and not make it our whole world. I don't think and I don't believe that one thing should be our whole world, whether it's a relationship or career or hobby or whatever it is. We need to learn how to have a balance in our lives where we're not too dependent on one thing or one person, where if it crumbles, then our whole world crumbles. And again, it brings me back to why it's so important to take advantage of your singlehood, because that's a perfect time where you're on your own and you don't have that one relationship that consumes most of your time and energy to 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 start filling your life up.
Yeah.
To focus on finding your hobbies, on your passions, your career, on working out, on living a healthy lifestyle, traveling and discovering what you love, developing new skills, making new friends, or connecting better with your current friends, and just creating a fulfilling life. So when you do find someone, that relationship won't fail just because you're relying solely on them to make you happy, to make you feel less lonely, to 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 fill your life up with joy and happiness. And I think that when we have that kind of fulfilling life, we radiate a sort of contentment and happiness outside to the world, and we attract better people into our life. We also accept better people and refuse to accept people who aren't good for us. I'm not sure how I got here, but here we are. And that's a general misconception about being single, is that we often think that being single is just a transformative phase, which it sort of is in a way, but it's not just a waiting period or like a waiting room for your next relationship. It's a period where it's a transformative period, yes, in the sense of the word, of like, this is time to transform your life and to make yourself into that person that you want to be, or make your life the way you want to be. And it's not about just sleeping around or going on date after date after date or trying to find a relationship. It can be part of it, but it's not all of it.
I agree. Famous last words.
Famous last words. If only, if only.
Let us think about are you single? Like, anonymously, are you single and want to be in a relationship? And more importantly, are you in a relationship and would prefer to be single? And let us know what you think and what's stopping you from getting into that.
Yeah, and if you also have a hard time deciding for yourself what to do, and if you feel like there's too much pressure around you to do what you don't want to.
Pop Culture Cupid on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify,
Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Just come find us.
And speak to you soon.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.